It's been a while. How's everyone doing? I'm doing better. I honestly am. If you missed it, I've been kind of like struggling with like burnout and starting to prioritize me and my body mentally and physically. I'm working on it, but it's been a process and I'm doing better. I'm still learning and I'm still working on it, but I'm doing so much better than I was. We're just getting deep immediately in this vlog, you know? Hi, if you're new here. My name is Caitlin Asche and my channel is a barista's writing journey, and I'm going to be hopefully querying soon, actually. And I'm gonna get into that. Querying my City project, which is a young adult fantasy novel. And it's gonna be soon. I am currently on the final revision before query, about to start chapter 34 out of 42. I'm close, and that's why I decided to start this writing vlog, because I'm so close I can taste it. Whether or not this manuscript gets me an agent, I have kind of decided that this is like the final revision of it. If it gets me an agent, great. If it doesn't get me an agent, I'm gonna move on to the next project and focus on that. This will be shelved if it doesn't get me an agent. That's my plan. Because I've worked on this project for so many years now, and I feel like after this revision, it's to a point where I personally have done all I can do at the skill level that I'm at right now with this story. Once I'm finished with this revision, which is close, it's probably like 2 to 3 writing sessions away from being finished. I'm being realistic with myself, and so first I'm sending my query package to a couple of friends as like beta readers for the query package. I'm gonna give them the opportunity, if they want to request the full, then they can, and like request the entire manuscript if they want to read it. I'm going to be working on my query letter and on like a synopsis, though I'm not sure if I'm gonna need it just yet, but I will need a synopsis eventually. Working on like getting the first 3 chapters in as good a shape as possible. So that's the only other revision I'm gonna allow myself to do on this manuscript, is anything that might show up in a query package. So it would be the first 3 chapters, or it would be like the first 50 pages, whatever the equivalent of that is, because each agent, when they're accepting queries, does do things a little differently. That's the only other revision I'm allowed to do after I finish this draft. It's an exciting stage to be in, but I think mentally I'm gonna be done after this revision. I'm ready to be done because I've worked on this project since 2019. It's time to move on to a new project, whether or not this book sells or not, basically. I might go back to it eventually, because my eventual plan is, if querying doesn't work out at all, after trying to query several projects, I think I might just self-publish at that point. Once I've queried several projects, I feel like I'm gonna already have a backlist of multiple books that I can just immediately like focus on self-publishing them and like back to back. So I would end up with a backlist as soon as I self-publish. So like that's kind of like my plan, because I'm realistic with the state of traditional publishing, and it would be great to query and get an agent and then go on sub and sell a book. But realistically, with the state of publishing and with the way things are, if it comes down to it and traditional doesn't work out, I will just self-pub anyway. So in the meantime, I'm gonna just start another project and then like just let fate end up deciding whether I'm traditional or self. And that is kind of my plan moving forward. This revision has been a tough one, and it's been long. I started this revision in July of 2022, and it's taken me this long to get to a point where I can kind of see the end. And I've experienced burnout twice since then. So that's why I've been kind of focusing on my mental health a bit. So this revision, since I started this revision in July, I started rereading it twice after each period of burnout, where I needed to refresh my brain on this story. This past time rereading it, I didn't vlog it at all, but it was a few weeks ago, I felt like, oh, this is actually getting good. Like all the tension changes that I have made, it's working. It clicked with me, like to the point where I was getting sucked into my own story, and I wrote it. But like, it was like, felt like I was reading it for the first time, you know? And after reading through everything that I've done so far for this revision, the past couple of weeks I've been working on it without vlogging, just because I'm focusing on my mental and physical health right now and kind of just doing it whenever I feel like it. It's been liberating to look at it like that. I see that it's to the point where it's the best that I can make it after this. While it's in the hands of my friends that are going to read my query package, and after I work on my query letter and all of that, while that's in the query trenches or I'm waiting on feedback from that, I'm starting a new project and I'm going to dive headfirst into that at that point. Because either way, whether or not I end up getting an agent or not from this book, I'm going to continue writing and I'm going to be focusing on my next project, because I think that's the way to look at it. It's just to keep writing and keep doing what you love. I'm to the point where there are no big developmental changes or tension changes anymore. The only other like big changes so far is there's a chapter that is completely cut that's kind of irrelevant. There's a switch back to the other POV that I only threw in there because I felt like I needed to throw in a switch before moving on to like back to the main character's POV. It interrupted the flow and it added 800, 900 words that didn't need to be there. And my goal for this draft was to cut my word count. And so that is what made it. So I decided to cut a chapter. That's the only other change that is super big. Like really nothing plot-wise or tension-wise is changing from this point out. It's just continuing the line edit, because this revision was kind of line edits and last minute tension changes and name changes, because I did change some names during this draft. And like focusing on description and getting rid of white room syndrome and all of that. I'm to the point where it's the last section of the book that has always been the strongest section of the book. I don't need to really just focus on like getting rid of white room syndrome at this point, because it's like the build up to the climax and the climax itself and then the afterthought of all of that. So I might still need to add description here and there, but it's like not going to be in a room for the first time type situation, you know, because I'm at that point in the book where if the characters are in a room, you're already established that this room exists. It's gonna be pretty fast because it's just line edits at this point. It's not changing anything else. I'm close, I can taste it. And then I'm gonna be done and it's gonna feel weird. But this vlog is going to be the one documenting it. So stick around if you want to continue seeing my face and my new hair. It's a few days later. I forgot what I last updated you guys on, but I just spent the last hour fine-tuning one chapter. I just finished chapter 36 out of 42, and it's getting closer. I have 6 chapters left. Some of them are short, so I feel like maybe tomorrow I will end up finishing this draft. I'm gonna stop for the day because in like 10 minutes I have to start getting ready for work, and I'm not going to start another chapter when I only have like 10 minutes. I'm getting there slowly but surely. I'm going to finish this though. Update on the word count situation. If you didn't know, I was trying to cut so that this draft made it below 100,000 words. My goal is to get it in between 91 to 95K range. It was at 104K in the last draft. Right now, it currently stands at 98K, because what I was doing before was taking one by one, chapter by chapter, copying it from the last one, and then adding it, and then that would be the total or whatever. Because I'm so close, I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna copy paste each chapter and put it into the draft, and it kind of is giving me a better idea of what the overall word count is gonna be towards the end. So currently at 98,212 words, so made it below 100K. That was like really what I was stressed about. So now I'm a little less stressed about the word count. Still want to aim for 94K. There's only 6 chapters left and it's line edits, and I think on average I've been like deleting like maybe 200 words per chapter. For example, today I cut 207 words and I just worked on this one chapter. Maybe we'll end up at like 96, 97K, which isn't bad. But for a debut author querying, it's recommended to be below 95-ish K. Whenever I look it up, it's always like 90 to 95K for YA fantasy debut author. I'm hoping I can get it down, but we'll see. I'm gonna query it regardless. At least it's under 100K now. That's what matters to me. I am feeling confident though. And it's also getting like really, really close to the climax. Like it's currently like the buildup of the climax right now. And the climax is kind of like technically 2 climaxes because there's 2 POVs. So like the climax of the like not main character, Gideon, his like character arc's climax is in the next chapter, but the climax of the overall story and like the theme of the story, which is technically Divesh's POV's climax, is like 2 chapters away. I'm excited to work on this. I wish I had more time today and every day. Work has just taken a lot out of me recently and I just don't have time. That's something that I'm working on, is learning to say no on my days off and to not immediately respond to like work emails or work text messages or work group chats, that type of thing. If I'm not clocked in, turn off those notifications for the work group chats. I removed my work email from my phone. Proud of myself for that. I logged out of iMessage on my laptop because I'm really good at like putting my phone on do not disturb when I'm trying to focus on like writing and stuff. But what happens a lot is my phone is on do not disturb, doesn't give me the notification, but the little iMessage bubble will pop up on my laptop. And I am like the type of anxious person that can't have any notifications. Like I have to open everything. That would stress me out if I was writing and the little message bubble would pop up because I would see the little notification and I had to get rid of it. Then I would end up opening work text messages and then would have to respond immediately. Otherwise I would forget. It's my ADHD and I'm working on it. I just logged out of iMessage on my laptop. So now if I get a text message on my phone, it will not show up as a notification on my laptop anymore. And that'll make it so that on my days off, I can just have my phone on do not disturb. And then if I see a work message pop up, I'm not allowed to open it. I'm not allowing myself to open it until I clock in the next day, because I am burning myself out with working so much and constantly being in work mode when I get notifications and stuff. And I'm trying to set boundaries so that I can actually have days off, you know? I do have the tendency to be a workaholic and be focusing on my work all the time and not the work that matters to me in my creative life where I'm not getting paid for it, at least currently right now, hopefully one day. But yeah, I'm working through some boundary setting and working through like learning how to turn my work brain off. I didn't mean to go down this little spiral, but I did, so you're welcome. I've got to get ready for work because I closed today. So I will probably update you guys tomorrow since it's my day off. Hi, hello. I'm finishing this draft today and I'm not getting up from this desk until it's done. I did edit chapter 37 this morning, which is the climax of Gideon's POV. And now it's going to be 5 more chapters and then I'm gonna be done. I did that this morning and then I worked out and showered and then I ended up in a doom scroll on TikTok for a few hours when I meant to be writing. I didn't take my ADHD medication today, so it was hard for me to get going. And I made myself a London fog to get a little bit of caffeine stimulation. Now it's kicked in and I am here. I'm gonna get to writing because I want to finish this draft today. I've been working on this draft since July and it is now February. It has been 3.5 years and this book is finally done to the best that I can make it at my skill level right now. I don't know what to say right now, honestly. It's surreal. And I do have it's like similar emotions as to when I finished that first draft in NaNoWriMo of 2019. I won Nano and I had finished that draft. It was a very, very, very bad first draft. And it was the first time I had written anything of substantial length. And it was very bad, but I was proud of it. And I finished it. And now it's 6 drafts later. I added an entire POV and completely rewrote that original POV. And now it is a whole ass novel. Final word count. 97,592 words. And I brought that down from about 104K. It's gonna have to do. Because I'm not going through it again. For the sake of like my mental health, I don't think I could go through that again at this stage in my writing career. So it's done. And the only time I'm gonna go through it is if it is going to be published, whether that's traditional or self. And I will do edits if it is confirmed I'm going to be publishing it. But for now, I'm done. Wow. Wow. What a wild ride. And I'm glad that I'm filming this moment for me in 10 years, hopefully when I've written and completed to the best of my ability many more books at that point. But I have this moment now. I don't even know. I'm kind of, I don't know how to feel. I'm not ready to work on my query letter today. I'm done for the day. I'm gonna save this on my flash drive. That's what I'm gonna do. Officially saved to my flash drive. And from here on out, it's going to be the query trenches and starting a new project. I feel like I've been so ready for a new project for a while, but I wasn't going to let myself start a new project until I fully finished this to the best of my ability. And here we are. And now I can actually continue world building and brainstorming and outlining Project Industrial, which will be the next project I vlog about. If you're interested in what Project Industrial is, I will link up above the vlog I did about a year ago of me doing a bunch of research for it. But I'm excited to continue that process and continue figuring out my process from the beginning, because this book, I didn't know what my process was, especially at the beginning. But now I think I've figured out a revision process, but I don't know what my process is from the beginning. And I'm excited to dive into that unknown aspect of my writing journey. Now, the next thing is to schedule my tattoo for this book, because I don't know if I've mentioned it. I don't remember if I mentioned it at the beginning of this vlog. I didn't set a deadline for this draft. Instead, I had an incentive of scheduling my next tattoo, but I couldn't do that until I finished this draft. And it is a tattoo that is dedicated to this book. And I have decided that every single book that I write, I'm getting a tattoo dedicated to it. Every book that I write, I'm gonna spend a significant portion of my time pouring my heart onto the page. Why not get a tattoo for it? I'm being all sappy and sentimental, so I'm gonna shut up now. Okay. I will see you guys in my next video, which will probably be me writing my query letter and figuring out what my query package is gonna be. And then after that, I'm not going to vlog anything after that for this project. I don't want to vlog the query trenches. I kind of want to keep that private. I will give you guys updates occasionally, but I'm not going to vlog the entire thing. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, please hit that subscribe button down below. My name is Caitlin Asche. My channel is A Barista's Writing Journey, and I will see you in my next video with a new project.